welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UKOCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the third most popular podcast for people who like pina coladas and songs stuck in their head.
Ian, my friend, once again, welcome to the Swift Half. How are you this week?
I'm good, Alan, although my voice probably sounds a little bit strange. I think I'm coming out of a cold, or I've currently got a cold. So, listener, if I sound different, it's not AI, it actually is me.
And if I sound different, it is AI because I'm currently sunning it up while you listen to this.
That is quite true, yeah. So, where are you heading again?
I'm off to Bodrum in Turkey here. This is my first holiday abroad in, I'm going to say, nearly, it might even be 12 years. This is the first time I've actually had a holiday abroad in 12 years.
So does that mean you've never actually done an obstacle race abroad?
Exactly. Since I took up OCR, I have never been abroad to do an OCR. That's strange, isn't it?
Well, yeah, except Scotland, of course.
Except Scotland and Wales, yeah. I've been abroad to them too. You know, is that technically abroad or is that just a different country? Because abroad, wouldn't that mean you've got to go over some water to get to it, and you can't call a river water?
I am not sure. Martin Gemmell, you're always good for this kind of thing. Let us know, because I'm not completely sure. And of course, we know that we're all one big happy country and you don't need a passport to get into Scotland and Wales. But it is a great trick to play on someone who doesn't know, isn't it?
It is. I'm actually flying from Luton, and you just touched on that bit there. I don't need a passport to get into Scotland or Wales, but I do need to get one passport for Gap into Luton.
That's quite correct. Do Luton still have an airline?
Luton Airlines. I've got visions now of like this little prop aeroplane, you know, with engines on. They've got propellers and things like that. Don't say that to me.
You may be flying it.
I might be flying it. I had a bit of an epiphany last night. I was like, everything's booked. So I'm going through Thomas Cook, you know, and the last time I booked another, like I say, it was a while ago, you know, literally you got everything sent through your post, your boarding passes, the vouchers, everything else, boom, it was done. And then last night I got nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, this don't feel right, this. I haven't got nothing. It's like literally 2 days before I go. I need to have my boarding passes. So I thought I could just go on Thomas Cook and just check. So I found the email they sent me when I booked it, and it clearly states on there, it says log on to your Thomas Cook website when you can, which I've not done. So I did that last night and got all my stuff, and still there are no boarding passes on there. So I goes down to where it says airline tickets, and it says you need to register with jet2.com as well, because I'm Jet2 of the thing. So I've had to register with them, and I've had to put in my passport details and basically my waist size, my arm length, my finger size, my inside leg, and everything in order to get my boarding passes, which I finally printed off today. So I've never known this. I just thought you could just go and rock up at an airport and just fly in.
Can I just check, have you already got the small travel shampoo, etc.? Because you're not allowed to take over 100 millilitres on the plane.
You can put them in your suitcase though, can't you?
You can absolutely put them in your suitcase, and you just hope your suitcase doesn't go missing.
Yeah. And we weighed the suitcase as well last night. 23 kilograms we've got. Guess what it came in at?
What did it come in at?
23.1.
Oh, gosh. So you've had to take stuff out?
Well, it's only 0.1, isn't it? So all I've done is we've taken the airdryer out. Yeah, we're taking the airdryer out, and we're putting the airdryer in the hand luggage.
Wait, sorry. Repeat that.
We're taking the airdryer out of the suitcase, because that's 0.1 of a kilogram, and we put it in the hand luggage, because in the hand luggage is separate weights to what the normal cabin hold all is.
One more time. What are you taking on holiday?
That's what's thrown you. You see my hair now. My hair's really long. I have to blow dry it and things like that, and you know I have to look after it.
You're going to Turkey. It's going to be dry from the time you step out of the shower to when you get to the bed.
Maybe for me, but I don't think Paula's going to accept that if she wants to straighten her hair. We've got straighteners in there. She has to put straighteners in there and hair dryer and purple shampoo because she's got blonde hair, you know, and things like that. We've got these special requirements these women have to have. In the suitcase, Ian, so 23 kilograms, yeah, I was awarded 4 kilograms. So I've got my t-shirts, my shorts, yeah, and they came to 4.5 kilograms. That's all my stuff. I'm not taking nothing else. A pair of trainers, I'm taking a spare pair of trainers, and some pants and socks. But yeah, I use 4.5 kilograms.
You realise you're going to Turkey to a holiday destination, which
Mm.
probably will have hairdryers.
Mate, I know that, but that's not the chances that Paula's going to take, is it? You know, she's very organised in these things. It has to be there's a certain organisation where females are concerned in, and I just roll with the flow.
I'm going to avoid the potential cancellation there. And yeah, everyone likes their comforts, I guess. But are you even sure you can take the hairdryer in your hand luggage?
Yeah, I checked on that. We can take the hairdryer and the hand luggage. So, and the hand luggage, I'm taking 2 kit bricks, one each. I didn't know that, but the kit bricks are actually the perfect size. Well, they're actually 1 centimetre too wide, but they squash up a little bit, don't they? So when I measure it on Jet 2, it's actually the perfect size.
Make sure you do take some spare stuff in your hand luggage just in case.
Yeah, yeah. Fill the hand luggage up. It's weird this because I thought the hand luggage says you can take 11 kilograms in hand luggage. That sounds really weird. So I don't know how you're going to get 11 kilograms in a kit bricks unless I'm putting 2 5.5 kilogram dumbbells in there.
Oh, just take the bowling ball out of your suitcase and put it in the kit bricks. There you go.
There we go, mate. I'm sorted.
Oh God. So welcome to the travel Swift half, I guess, the travel version sponsored by Thomas Cook, but we are still drinking. So Alan, what you're on?
Well, people don't know this, but we're recording really early in the day, aren't we? And it's actually only just gone 12:15. I'm going to say that. Not going to tell you what day, but it's only just gone 12:15. So I am actually on Coca-Cola today, and just original Coca-Cola. Delicious and refreshing according to the box, but it's the bottle. But yeah, and you know we can't have our sponsor, which we're going to come to in a minute. But you know, yeah, I'm on Coca-Cola instead of alcohol. What are you drinking?
I am on Rubicon Spring Orange and Mango. It's apparently only 15 calories, although my suspicion is all of those 15 are in sugar, which is bad for you anyway.
You can't drink Coca-Cola because of caffeine, can you?
No, I don't drink it. I did the other day. We went and watched basketball, and at their bar, they actually sold caffeine-free Coca-Cola.
All right, oh, cool. I've seen that. Is it actually caffeine? I know they say caffeine-free, but it's like saying sugar-free when it's not really sugar-free, is it? Is it actually completely caffeine-free?
I believe it is because if it had caffeine in, I'd get a horrible headache, and I didn't. I felt fine, and it is weird because getting the taste of Coke when you're not used to it is a weird sensation.
Oh, wow. That sounds pretty cool. A whole new sensation. Well, at my age, I don't get very much of those like different tastes, and I think I've tasted virtually everything and that, so I don't get much of that. But I want to know though, for the last 2 weeks, yeah, what's happened to our main sponsor?
You're talking about Prime, aren't you? And we'll just put a pin in that for a second. I will say, Alan, that depending on how they interpret that hairdryer in your hand luggage, the customs guards may give you a whole new sensation when you're boarding. So just be prepared, just in case. And if
Paul
that
can
doesn't
carry
make,
that one.
if that doesn't make you want to leave it at home, I don't know what will. But speaking of Prime, this weekend was Decca over in LA,
Yeah.
and Prime sponsored Decca. So they're not returning our calls, but they obviously see the value in our audience, and thus they've gone to Decca and they've sponsored them.
You think they've offered him a better deal than us?
Well, given that we offered them, well, very little, yeah, they probably gave them an absolutely cracking deal. What was it again? Give us free stuff and we will publicize it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, it didn't work that one. Didn't work that. Before we get onto some of our main topics, talking about free stuff and things like that, I got a question sent to me this week, and it said, "Hi UKOCR, guy called Wesley. If you listen, Wesley, thanks for listening. He mentioned to me, he sent a message, "Hi, UKOCR, looking for some OCR shoes, specifically for my children. Any tips where I can get them from?" So I thought, we haven't had this question for a long time because we've been in OCR for a long, long time, and a lot of our friends have been in OCR for a long, long time, and we sometimes forget that people are only just coming into it, or and things like that. And they don't know where to get them from. So I'm going to throw it. I've answered the question. I'll tell my answer in a minute, Ian, but I'm going to throw it out to you. Where do you get your shoes from? Where do you get your trainers from?
Be online, and I'm not quite sure where. I don't think I bought a pair of OCR shoes in like 3 years. They seem to last me.
All right, okay. But did you buy? I think I gave you Pete Bland's last time, didn't I? When you were asking me for some.
You did, and I think that's where my last pair came from. Came from Pete Bland via a code. I got some VJ something or other.
Yeah, yeah. And I tend to use Pete Bland's more than any other brand I want to say out there. They don't often do discount codes, but they do sales. Sometimes you get a special, May Day bank holiday or something like that, and I always keep track of them. I've noticed though this week that sportshoes.com are offering some amazing deals on trainers again. So they seem to have gone back to what I would call their basics, which was always offering the best trainers at a slightly reduced price than anywhere else. So I actually suggested that he goes over to sportshoes.com and uses their website. Other than that, I follow VJ, but I tend not to buy shoes direct from their shop. There's a place near me called Accelerate, which is quite good. Although Tony does send me VJs every now and then. I haven't had them for a while, actually, off him. So I might speak to Tony and see if I can get some new ones. No, I don't really need no ones. But yeah, Pete Bland's, sportshoes.com, local running stores. Check them out if that's where you're going to. If anyone else buys them from anywhere different, hit us up, let us know, and we will share them. I don't mind sharing any shop that's selling OCR shoes. There used to be, what was the one that was down in Essex? Was it Muddy Kit? I want to call it Muddy Kit.
It may have been Muddy Kit. Were they associated with Oscar Race magazine?
I think there was a slight roundabout way of them being associated with them, yes. And I'm sure they were down in Essex, and I can't remember the guy who used to do it. I mean, we used to have Tim Lovett used to have the obstacle shop, or whatever that was called, which was really, really good. Every package came in orange wrapping. They used to be really good. When you got like an orange parcel come through your letterbox, you knew it was from them. So yeah, just wanted to share that in while we're out there.
I think that's good. What shoes would you actually recommend for young athletes? Or is that not a question for you, given you don't have any young athletes in your life anymore?
I would look at what my price point was and purchase something that was at the top end of that price point. If I was looking for, if I had £50 spare, I would go and buy a pair of shoes for between £40 and £50. I always find that the more expensive shoes you buy, usually the better quality they are, and they usually last longer. But the thing is, when you're looking for younger people who are still growing, it's how long are they going to last. And I know when I was buying them for Ali, my biggest challenge was getting a pair that lasted him, because I mean he's now a size 14 shoe. He's 18-year-old in a month's time. He's now a size 14 shoe. When you were like 14, 15, 16, and I was buying him trainers, he was literally growing out them within like a month and a half, 2 months. 1 minute they fitted in, next minute his toes were banging on the end. It was really, really difficult to get him. So I tended to go out and I used to buy some of the from sportshoes.com. They had higher state ones. I don't know if you remember them, and they were $29.99, and I'm going to turn around and say they may have lasted 200 miles at most. You know what I mean? They weren't going to last him more than 2 or 3 months, but that was the point. I was buying them because they had really good grip. Yeah, they had a bit of cushioning on them, and they did what they were meant to do, which was let him run in mud. So yeah, it really is what people want to buy. If you're wanting something really good, Innovate does some great shoes. Tend to be more in they do some of the mud talons in junior sizes and that. It's quite easy though to get girls' shoes than it is to get boys' shoes, because you can get girls' shoes tend to be in women's sizes. So there's a good choice out there for girls' shoes in the women's sections. But for boys, you can go in the men's sections, but there's not always a great choice out there.
Speaking of old shoes, do more miles still make shoes? Do you remember they were like the go-to if you're brand new to obstacle racing, buy these 30 quid shoes because if you last your race and you decide you never want to race again, then you've only spent 30 quid.
They do, and they were brilliant shoes. I mean, the grip on them were probably some of the best grips I've ever used. I think the only one ever beat them on grip for me was something called Innovate Bear Grip, which basically was a tractor tire with an upper stitch to it. And that was the only thing that ever beat the more miles. For a running shoe, they were stiff, they were heavy, and everything else. Whereas if you look at the higher state ones that I'm talking about on sports shoes, they tend to be lighter. So they're a little bit more like a modern shoe, but they've still got really good grip on the bottom for the athletes. But the higher state ones are probably now the more go-to shoe than more miles. I think more miles still make them. So yeah.
I think probably more miles is I want to say I'm going to get the name wrong, but it started with a C, so I'm going to call it Chevron. We'll go with Chevron.
Cheviot.
Cheviot. We'll go with Cheviot then, because that's what it actually is. But the Cheviot 3 were really, really good trainers. And then they brought out the Cheviot 4, which weren't as good and felt cheap, whereas the Cheviot 3 didn't feel like a cheap pair of trainers.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And, you know, you talk about, I like to wash trainers and stuff like that, as you know, keep them clean. You washed a pair of Cheviots, and if you got to put them in the washer, they fell apart instantly. If you put them in a bowl of sink and scrubbed too hard, they fell apart instantly. Not the greatest made, but they got you around 200 miles. Again, 200 miles is what we're looking for. You're not going to get a £30 pair of trainers. I think you could even pick them up for like £24.99 at one point. You're not going to get a £30, £40 pair of trainers that are going to last you 400 and 500 miles. You're going to get 200 miles out of them. You know what I mean? If you get 200 miles out of them, you've done well. You know, it is what you pay for.
I used to get them for 21 quid with the discount code Muddy Duck 30.
Yeah, there used to be one, wasn't there? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because we used to partner with them. Yeah, we were partnered with them for a short while to get newbies into the sport. Maybe we should do things like that again. Partner with some of these companies to try and get newbies into the sport.
We probably should because we have got a much bigger platform. No, I know that the group was a massive platform, but we've also got the podcast, we've got the website. I know you've had a website previously. We've got this massive platform. We really should team up with people to get more newbies into the sport. So put that in the long list of things that we need to sort out between now and 2027, maybe 2028.
2028. You put an interesting topic on the discussion today. Similar lines on this. You put about Bad Boy podcast. Do you want to tell us a bit more?
Yeah, Bad Boy Running. I'm catching up. Actually, I'll explain a little bit more in that today, Alan. I went for my first run outside since possibly before Glasgow High Rocks.
Oh wow! How far did you go?
I only did 5K in total, but it wasn't a constant 5K. It was what do you call them again? Fartlek. That's what it was. It was a organized fartlek, which was 1 minute hard, then 2 minute hard, 3 minute hard, etc., etc. And in that time, I covered 5K. So I think it was 35-minute session, and I covered 5K, which included a lot of walking. I'm not ashamed to admit. But because I went for a run outside, I put a podcast on, and Bad Boy Running is one of the ones that I'll listen to because I tend to listen to ours and Matt B. Davis. They're my car listening ones. So when I come to running, I need to find something else to listen to. And Bad Boy are in my reserve for listening like that. But it was their episode from 29th of March. Great episode. We talk all about the Barclays. But the point they made was that since the Barclays got a little bit of fame because of the amazing Jasmine Paris,
yeah,
lots and lots of people are sharing their own version, which has a little bit of a twist on it as well. Like I think we mentioned the race with no finish line and the piece of string race, which are good races, but there seems to be more and more and more of them.
Yeah, you do tend to get this, and you're right, because Jasmine made BBC News, the Barclays have always been there for us who've been runners, when we've been to National Running Show and we've met lads there, and listen to the talks and everything else. But since Jasmine went over there and did what she did, which is absolutely amazing, you know, it's got BBC News involved, it's got national media involved. And the moment you get national media involved, you're going to get other people trying to jump on that bandwagon.
You do. And that's what David was actually saying. What he was saying was we saw this in OCR where basically a lot of people saw it and saw an opportunity. He mentioned how in the early days, it was just people going for a stroll in the mud. It was a bit quirky, it was a bit cool. And then it got big to the extent where everyone organized a race. And you also had a lot of people coming into the race who perhaps weren't there for the right reasons. It was the profile, the profit, and that kind of thing, as opposed to just having a bit of fun with your mates.
Yeah, I get that. That also helped us grow so much, though. So yeah, we got quite a few people that came in and tried to take his money. You know, brings to mind is Bill Human. You know, everyone who's been in this for a while knows about Bill Human and how he tried to take people's money. And he never had any plans to put any event on, but was charging an extortionate amount of money. But we quickly sort of saw through that, or a lot of us did. Other people have done it. But I guess from the flip side of it, as it grew, you had people back then. If I remember right, in the early days, very, very few racers were doing it. You know what I mean? You had the likes of Nuts, Nuclear, Tough Mudder, Spartan, Rat Race, Men's Health. And I think that was round about it in the big scenes. If I forgot someone, please forgive me. Maybe Rock Solid as well. But then you had all these other events like Adrenaline Shock came in, and we had the Avalanche Run, we had Mud, Sweat and Beers, and all of these people were jumping on that bandwagon. What anyone else says, they were jumping on that bandwagon, and they saw a market. But what it did, it actually grew our market because you had your Tough Mudders, but not everyone could do them. Not everyone could afford to do them. But everyone wanted that profile picture. Everyone wanted on their social media that profile picture where, hey, look at me. I'm swinging on these monkey bars. I'm jumping in this mud. I'm doing that. And then what all the other events did, they gave that chance, you know, for a much smaller cost than your Tough Mudders and your Spartans. And that's where it grew from. I want that to come back in some ways. I don't want in OCR, I don't want the charlatans to come back and put races on that never going to exist. But I do want that picture. We don't share enough. And I got to admit, I don't. I go to a race now and it's very, very rarely do I actually change my profile picture to a me running through the mud. But I used to always do it. Back in 2012, 2013, I changed my profile picture every weekend.
You do, and now actually the profile picture is people doing a High Rocks.
Exactly, and that's why High Rocks is growing so big.
It is, and it's interesting about that is that we have seen some races come on the fitness racing bandwagon, probably not as many, perhaps because when it comes to that space, there was already a kind of space within that space at the gyms, because some gyms would already do throwdowns and CrossFit, but we're not allowed to call it CrossFit type events, which are not High Rocks events, but they also scratch that itch. So we haven't seen yet a load of similar races to High Rocks. And I guess the other thing is High Rocks has done such a good job thus far of monopolizing the market that you don't get the thing with a profile picture you mentioned there, Alan, whereby if someone's swinging on a set of monkey bars, who knows the difference between a set of Tough Mudder monkey bars and down the park type?
Yeah.
Whereas with High Rocks, you'll tend to see the logo because it will be in the background somewhere. So it'll be interesting whether we see people start using, I don't know, DecaFit profile pictures in the future, or Deadly Dozen, or Conquer Fitness, or Nuclear Fit, or anyone like that. So it's fascinating where that is on its current trajectory. It'll be interesting, Alan, to listen back to this episode in, say, 2 to 3 years and see where fitness racing has gone and where obstacle racing has gone.
Yeah, it will. I mean, we don't know where it's going to end up. I do think it's going to grow back up again. It is growing now. We are seeing that growth. But yeah, social media's got a big part to play in it for us.
It really does. Speaking of socials, your social medias, like mine, have probably been filled with people sharing their I've entered the ballot pictures.
Yeah,
But because the ballot entry is now available, that means it was the London Marathon, Alan. And I imagine there are lots of stories.
lots of stories. But first of all, yeah, have you joined the ballot?
As of recording, no, we have not joined the ballot. Will I remember before this goes out? Possibly.
Good man. Guess who has joined the ballot?
Who?
Paula.
Paula's joined the ballot.
Yeah. Does she know? No, she doesn't.
Does she listen to this show?
No, she's not in today,
Perfect.
so she can't listen. She listens live, and that's it.
Oh well. Well, good luck, Paula, and I hope you get in.
I never realised that you could actually just sign anyone up you wanted. So I've actually signed her up. I register every year. I've never got an entry yet, but I register every year. Only because it's one of them iconic races that I want to do. Just because it's like an iconic London Marathon. I guess is an iconic race.
I'm going to ask a question, Alan, and you don't need to answer if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But when do ballot entries get announced? Do we know?
Is it usually about a month? And I'm not sure if I'm honest. Usually about month and a half, 2 months after it starts, isn't it? Because then you get all the second end ballots and third ballots and fourth ballots and whatever it is.
Yeah, that's not the question you might not want to answer. The question you might not want to answer is, are you going for your quickest divorce?
I like that. Yeah. Let's see if she gets in first. I don't know if she'll get in. If she does, then she does, and we can take it from there. I just thought it's a bit of a nice surprise. I bought her a Tough Mudder ticket. She never knew about. So what's her next step up is a marathon.
Has she got any inclination to do the marathon?
No.
Gosh. Oh dear. This is going to end in tears.
Quickly before we talk about London Marathon, though, big shout out to Dan Titcombe, who the week previous ran the half marathon dressed as Mario, Super Mario from what is it? And he actually got a Guinness World Record. If I remember rightly, he ran the half marathon 1:18 dressed as Super Mario, official Guinness World Record.
I believe it was so close at the end, Alan, because a banana skin was thrown on the course and he managed to avoid it before hopping over a turtle shell, and then he got the world record.
I love that. That's the best thing ever. Oh, I can tell you played marathon. Is it Super Mario Kart or something like that? London Marathon this week. First of all, last week we didn't really shout out that many people, did we? Because we didn't know we were going. We'd not researched it. With all the will and the might, we'd not researched in any way, shape, or form. So we didn't really shout out everyone. So I'm hoping you've got a huge list of everyone that we know who runs.
Well, Alan, ask me, have we done research this time as well?
Have we done research this time?
Of course not. But what we have done is we reached out to someone who remained anonymous to give us a list of the people they were following, because they follow a lot of OCR people who are doing the marathon. And I'm hoping this is a good list. And if you did the London Marathon, you're listening to this and we don't shout you out, let us know. We'll do Apology Corner next week. But yeah,
he will remain anonymous, won't it? He will remain anonymous.
Absolutely, he will remain anonymous. So let's carry on. So Becky and Das both got PBs, so well done to Becky and Das. Also, well done to the other Rebecca who was running it, who this person was following, who I think they finished in about 4 hours 27. So there was a Rebecca Neal who was also running the London Marathon, who this person was following. And yeah, turns out he was following the wrong Becky Neal, but it is what it is. Luke de Benedicts was racing. Michelle Carney was, of course, racing. She did amazing. Well done to Shell. Another Michelle Castro was racing. Well done. Sharon Newton, we gave you a shout out last week, but you can have another one. Simon Carter, he also got a PB. He is a solo mudder. Erica Poole also, I
Yep.
believe, was running. And Scotty Barker is the last one on the list, but we're not 100% whether he was running or not. So, Scotty, well done if you're running, and if not, we're sorry for rubbing it in, but you didn't run.
Big well done to them and everyone else who did it. There was quite a few records broken last week, Ian. So, first of all, Perez Chica breaks the women's only world record. 2 hours, 16 minutes, 16 seconds. Wow.
Can I ask you
That's
about
crazy.
this?
Yep.
This was the first time I've ever heard it referred to as the women's only world record. Is that just a sign of the times? Because
I
they
think
just
yeah, I think this is a sign of the times. I think the way it's been announced and that, I think this is what we're going to get at this moment in time. We're going to get potentially going forward. We may have women's record and women only records.
okay, fair enough. We evolve, everything evolves, but yeah, I was just curious because I hadn't heard that term before, and yeah, it is a sign of our constant progress as we all become better people. So fantastic. Right, what other news do we have?
Um, this is an amazing. This is absolutely amazing. How much money do you think the London Marathon made for fundraising on the marathon day alone?
Including the £10 I chucked Michelle's way.
Yes.
Oh wait, that wasn't on the day of the race, so no, we'll discount that. But how much, Alan?
According to BBC News, it broke the world record for one day fundraising, £67 million. That is wow. I mean, that's amazing. The previous record was 66.4, same race, 2019. So, but 67 million only just broke it. But wow, what an amazing amount of money.
It is, but it also makes me a bit worried. Does that mean that there were £67 million worth of people who didn't trust their friends and family enough to not sponsor them in the lead up to the actual marathon?
That's a very, very good point. so, so what we're saying here is that I don't believe you're going to run it, so I'm not paying you until the day. I like that.
I'm not paying you until I see you on TV. Other than that, yeah, I think you're a charlatan until I see you on TV being lapped by Big Ben.
Yeah, that's I love that. I was reading, and I can't remember the athlete's name now, talking about athletes and running on the day, but there was an athlete that ran their first London Marathon in 4 years ago in 2019 and ran 4 hours 30 minutes, which was quite good. 4 hours 30 minutes is quite reasonable. And within 4 years, she's become a woman's elite and ran a 2:30. I can't remember her name now. It will probably come to me at some point. But yeah, that's an amazing story. That's someone you'd want to talk to, isn't it?
It is. So have they already turned us down?
Yeah.
Also,
That's why I'm not
but
mentioning the name.
but we did have a similar story in the High Rocks world with Tara, who not Tara, beg your pardon, and with Zara. I was thinking some other story there, but with
Yeah.
Zara Piergiolini, whose name I absolutely butchered there, but with Zara, we had a very similar story where she did her first ever High Rocks, I think 12 months ago, and she's already in the Elite 15.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. What was the time 12 months ago? Do you know?
It was a doubles, and I can't remember what her time was, but she did a male's double, mixed doubles. She then went and did a female open, smashed it, came second overall. Then went and did High Rocks Pro, and yeah, she's absolutely smashing it. And we've got her on the show next week, where I say her name correctly.
Awesome. Can't wait to listen to that. One thing the London Marathon's done, I mean, very, very similar to what the Olympics did, and I guess a little bit what Barclays have done with ultra running. But yesterday, I finished work early yesterday, and I was driving around and I was doing bits and bobs, picking things up from here and there. And I must have seen 40, 50 people running, between, say, 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Where normally I don't see that many people running, especially not running on roads or pavements and that. I might see 2 or 3. And I'm thinking, has the London Marathon been on the weekend inspired people to get up and run on Monday?
Yeah, I think it probably has. It didn't inspire me to do my run, but I think I've seen that as well. And plus, the weather's that little bit nicer. It was so nice, Alan. I went into the gym and I could get on a treadmill.
Oh, wow. Well, see, that's a whole new kettle of fish that. Summer must be here if you can get on the treadmill.
But it's a great thing, and it's great to see people at that start of their running journey because you know they're going to have hard times ahead. But if they get through it, they'll find something really magical.
Which brings us on to our next one, because since the London Marathon, the NHS Couch 5K, yeah, which launched in 2016, it has had 7 million downloads.
Wow, 7 million.
7 million. It's gone past 7 million downloads. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. So, I mean, I think this is all time. Again, I've taken this from the news, but I mean, it was. I used it. I got to admit, when I first started running, go back to 2011, 2012, when I first started running for a long time, I actually downloaded the Couch 5K. I think I was already doing 5K, but I wanted to just see what it was about. And I have told people about it, and I tell people about it quite a lot, because I do think it does help, especially if you're, I don't want this to sound condescending anyway, but if you're a slightly larger person who's not run for a while, might have some type of health condition, maybe your heart's not 100%, your lungs are not 100%, but you want to get running, you want to start exercising. This is a great way of doing it because it does it slowly. It doesn't turn around and say, right, you've got to get out, you've got to run 1K today. It talks about running and walking, literally meters rather than kilometers to start with, and building it up and building it up. So I actually quite like it, and I've used it quite a few times. But I find it amazing that it's had 7 million downloads.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it helped me start running as well when I started running in a pair of tracky bottoms and I think a £10 pair of trainers from Asda because I didn't know whether or not I was going to enjoy this thing. So I bought a cheap pair of trainers, which collapsed after a few runs. I got myself some decent ones. It is such a good app. I've looked at it recently because someone at work has started. They have changed it. They kind of evolve it, don't they? I've still got the
Yeah.
original on my phone because anyone who knows me knows I never update my apps. It's just something I do. My Twitter still has a bird on it, by the way.
I think mine does actually. I think my logo still has a bird on it.
But unfortunately, it seems like the original, because Alan, you probably have the original like I did. It had someone who was unknown called Laura, I want to say,
Yeah.
and no idea who she was, but there was something about a complete unknown telling you how to run, which added to it. Now you kind of like can pick various celebrities, which I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Steve Cram, Dennis Lewis. Or was it Dennis Lewis then? Dame Denise Lewis. I don't know. I mean, would I imagine Steve Cram shouting at me like, "Get on, get off your bum and get off the couch and start running," or would it be like, "Come on now, you've got to start. Get up, let's go and go." I don't know what I'd want me. I just know I did like it when it was someone really random just telling me what I've got to do.
Yeah, it just added to it because you knew nothing about this person. It could have been AI, except AI didn't exist back then. But you felt like you were getting to know them as the weeks went on as well. Whereas with Denise Lewis, you already know so much about her, and I don't know. It kind of takes me out of the moment that when it was the original person, it really could have been just some random coach helping me. When in reality, Denise Lewis is not helping me learn how to run a 5K.
Yeah. No, I get that. Just a random thought, yeah? Yeah. We'll come back to the second, but one random thought. So when Laura did it, I wonder if she got people come up to her and saying, "Hey, are you that Laura off Couch to 5K?" Yeah. Now it's AI. I wonder which random people are going to get come up to them. "Hey, are you that AI off couch to 5K or whatever it is. We get AI everywhere now, don't we? 90% of voices are AI. But I wonder if people are going to get pulled up and say, hey, do you do some random advert on UKHXR or Fitness Racing Podcast or something?
Oh, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
whether because the voice sounds like someone
yeah.
presumably has that voice. So, oh, that is interesting. But yeah, I presume Laura was a real person. So I do wonder whether every so often I don't know, she was just ordering a bag of chips and someone said, I know your voice, I don't know where from.
Yeah, yeah. On the back of this, though, Ian, there was another story I found up north. This is it's in Bradford, and there are a lot of Muslim runners in Bradford, and it was a bit of a shame that we're trying to promote running, but up in Bradford, they're getting a lot of abuse up there. Some of the female runners running with the is it what is it Abiba that they put on the head to cover the head? Like the scarf that goes, I can't remember what they call the name of it now. Someone's going to tell me, someone's going to shout at me. I think it's a Ajib or something like that. It'll come to me again. But some of the runners up there are getting a lot of abuse. And what is good is that the police now are monitoring the streets, and they're really helping these people stay out and being a little bit more visual to try and stop this abuse up there. Do you think it's worldwide? Because I've only seen this story from Bradford based. Do you think this is going to be? Is it worldwide where females get abused? I mean, being a man, I've never seen it. The most abuse I get is young kids shouting at me, going, "Get your knees up, get your knees up," which I don't mind, and things like. Oh, I even like it when some of the kids run at the side of you. When you're out training, and they actually run at the side of you, and they're going, "I can run faster than you," and I'm thinking, yes, you can, but you've only run 100 meters. I've already covered 10 miles.
I occasionally get that, and we have to be careful here because the abuse that we as men get when it comes to running is a lot different to the abuse that women get.
Yeah,
It's a sad state of the world, and I wish the world wasn't like this, but it really is. But it's a difficult one because I want to live in a world where anyone can just run and not have to worry about having their keys in their hands just in case.
yeah,
Yeah, I am really, really happy with Bradford Police for taking a stance, and I hope other police take a stance too. And again, runners, particularly male runners, be aware of your surroundings. And if you see a female runner who's running towards you, if you can, cross the street or make it clear that you're not a threat and move out of the way. And never, ever, ever, because often you may be faster than a female runner, never creep up on them as you're running. Always try and cross the street and always cross at a safe distance. And young men out there, if you see your friend giving abuse to a female runner or any runner, set them straight. I know it's hard, but absolutely just speak up and they'll hopefully respect you for it. And if you don't, then they're not real friends.
yeah. That is spot on. That if you stand up to someone who's showing disrespect to someone, and they are not they're not appreciating what you're saying to them. They're not. You don't want to be friends with people who don't respect other people. So yeah. But I just wanted to bring that up because if there's any female runners out there that if you've got tips, that when you're out running, let us know. We'll happily share them with people.
Alan, I've just gone on Instagram while we were chatting. Laura is actually on Instagram as Coach to 5K Laura.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to follow that person now.
I presume it's the right person. And yeah, at the moment, they've only actually got 1,740 followers. Let's see if we can increase that. So, listener, everyone go follow Coach to 5K Laura.
We're doing this now. We're just hoping and praying this is the right Couch to 5K Laura.
She claims to be. She's got a public profile. So, yeah, let's go and follow her and see how her journey gets going.
Cool. Some other news. Let's go on to British Obstacle Sports, Ian. British Obstacle Sports this week, the UKOCR series, which is heavily supported by British Obstacle Sports. The we asked everyone to get the teams in, and the results are out now. So after the final race of the first race of 2020, not the final race, the first race of 2024, as the team stand, I'm going to shout out to the top 10. So Fit Body Farm Freestylers at the top, Rumble Racing second, Nuclear Phoenix third, Primal Fitness in fourth, Field Fit fifth, SBF sixth, PT Barn seventh, Nuclear Wealth eighth, Team Grit ninth, and OMRM in 10th. So big shout out to everyone there. Interesting that one thing I found interesting is I never realised how many of Rumble Racing Team went up to Tartan Warrior, because at least 10 went up, because they have got 10 spots. You know what? Only 10 people can score points. They have got 10 people scoring points. I expected it from Fit Body Farm Freestylers, because they're based up there, and they're at the top. But Rumble Racing getting 10 people up there is absolutely phenomenal. Nuclear Phoenix 4, Primal Fitness 4, Fuel Fit 4, SBF 3, PT Barn 3. And that's a bit strange. SBF, they're based up in Scotland and only had 3 people attend, or 3 people score points. So
that is interesting, because if they attended, presumably they'd get points. And it's odd, but maybe it was just one of them weeks where they couldn't make it. It happens. They might have all been prepping for Glasgow, or getting over High Rocks Glasgow. Right, it is what it is, I guess. Sometimes. Speaking of British obstacle sports, last week we chatted about the events page. Just confirmed that the events on there are the licensed events, so there may be more events available which have not yet been licensed. But the good news is that if they're on that page, they've been licensed by British Obstacle Sport. So whilst there's no guarantees, there is a very good chance that if you pay for a ticket for them, you will get to race. They're not just going to disappear on you.
Without a doubt. So it's much better. It's great out there. And the final thing on British Obstacle Sports, their platform is moving over to My Next Match. So I think, whereas it's always been with Enduko before, it's moving over to My Next Match. And you're actually going to get a virtual membership card as well now, Ian, which I think is quite cool.
Which is, and eventually I'll remember to click on and start my profile, because as everything that I get sent in the emails, I might get to it eventually.
I ain't done mine either.
No. James, if you're listening, send us a message, remind us, or in a few weeks, send us a message. Whilst we're talking about the UKOCR series, though, Born Survivor is this weekend. Good luck to everyone who's taking part this weekend. Sadly, I won't be in attendance because I've got other matters to attend to. Alan is probably going to be locked up in a Turkish jail by then, so he also won't attend. But anyone who's there, have a great time, and feel free to send any videos or whatever to UKOCR Facebook group and page, and we'll share them.
Yeah, I've got a few people going that might even put live stuff up. They've got access to our page now, so watch this space. If they do, we will let you know. Before we finish, because you got a lot on, a bit of good news that's come out of stuff. We know B Wood, who's been doing things for UKOCR, doing things for British Obstacle Sports, doing things for Tough Mudder. She has become a sponsored athlete, and I mean officially sponsored, in terms of they are going to supply not a OCR wheelchair, okay, so because there's only one that's made there in America at the moment in time, we have to buy them, but Max Wheelchairs are sponsoring her for training wheelchairs, so things like she can go on the roads, an everyday wheelchair, and things like that. They've agreed to sponsor her, and I don't know what the all ins and outs of it are. That's not between us to do. But it's great news that someone like that can actually go out there. And I don't know how she's got it. I'm not saying, she's going out and ask for it or anything like that. I don't know how it's happened. But it's great that someone's getting recognised for the hard work they're putting in, that someone's going to offer them sponsorship.
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly, it's always good when the sponsor really matches the athlete. And this doesn't happen all the time because, of course, a lot of sponsorships, be saying we have affiliates with the program, as you're aware, and it will be generally stuff that we use, but it's rare that it's something that people need as opposed to would want.
Yeah, definitely. I think the next thing for some events to do, and I've spoken about B regarding the race that shan't be mentioned for 2025, we don't necessarily want to turn around and say we're putting a specific adaptive athlete race on, but what we want to do is put our website on what some of the changes we're going to make to get adaptive athletes to our event or make them comfortable when they attend the event.
I think that's the way forward. We need to make adaptations as we can so they enjoy as close as their experience to everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Inclusivity, not exclusivity.
Exactly, precisely. And it was interesting. I spoke to Yancey recently about this, Yancey Cope, head of DECA, because I was just curious what their version was at DECA, and this will go on to our next topic in a second. And his view was he wants the athletes to kind of say to him what's within their capabilities, and if they complete the 10 stations, they'll get their medal, they'll get their t-shirt, etc. He doesn't want to be dictating to particular athletes what you must or mustn't do. But if they can let him know what they do end up doing, that may help him evolve the event.
I think that's exactly what's needed, that feedback. I'd love to see High Rocks where the London Marathon. We just watched a quick London Marathon. We had the men's, the women's, the front runners, and we also had like an elite race for the wheelchair athletes. And there's also all of that type of thing. I would like to see High Rocks where potentially there is a wheelchair category and potentially there is an adaptive athlete category. I don't know what they look like. I really don't know what they look like. But you go to a lot of gyms out there, and I do see people in wheelchairs working out. I do see adaptive athletes with one leg or one arm or some type of impediment that stops them from being multifunctional like myself. And I'll use myself as an example. I've got, full functioning arms and legs. Maybe my brain doesn't always work, but that's just me. But you see these athletes doing it, and to me, I'm inspired by them. And if I went to a High Rocks, I'll use High Rocks as an example, and I saw, let's just say the first wave of the day was a wheelchair wave, and they went out maybe 30 minutes before everyone else to give them plenty of time to get around and make the adaptations. That would be inspirational. I would actually turn up early to watch that.
Yeah, and I think High Rocks are probably a step ahead because they have had adaptive athletes already at their event, so they do have a general idea of how some of the stations can adapt. Like I think for burpee broad jump, the athletes effectively do a wheelie all the way, which is, I imagine, insanely difficult to do just two wheels all the way. So it probably fits in this idea of a burpee, but sometimes you will have to stop and then you'll have to go again. And they have done a lot of work, and they've worked with the athletes as well, which I think is the important thing. There's no good us dictating to anyone how to race.
Exactly. They don't have a specific race though, do they? Or do they have a specific? Because I've never seen it advertised, so that's why I'm asking you.
Not yet, but they do have some wheelchair athletes who will compete in a regular wave, but adaptations will be made at each workout station to assist them. So it's definitely something they're looking into. Speaking of High Rocks, we mentioned last week about High Rocks Berlin, how some people were upset and you could get refunds. As often happens, Alan, when people all get upset, the event happened, it was a smash hit, everyone beat the PBs and everyone's happy.
Awesome. So were the PBs beaten, even though it was outside? Was PBs beaten?
Yeah, I think that of the pro men, I want to say like 8 got into the top 30 times overall because having a single loop for 1K just made it so much quicker.
Was it, say a single loop, was it literally a loop or was it an up and back? Was it an out and back?
I think it was a variation of an out and back. So it was kind of you went out to the right, you then followed it a little bit and then did a quick turnaround and then basically we were running yourself back into the rock zone. And a lot of the run was also within the rock zone itself. So Yeah, they did well. They put on an amazing event. It's something we should look at for next year, Alan, if we could get tickets, because I think I can see you and me in Berlin. That'd be fun.
Yeah, yeah. I can see
Well,
me and you, Berlin. Is the wall still up or is that down now?
no, the wall's well and truly gone.
Okay.
Although it was at a World War II airport, so you feel right at home. It's fine.
Just I was there when they built it. I'm getting that old
I
now
believe
again.
you helped
I
build
think I
it.
am. Yeah.
Speaking of High Rocks, courtesy of Richard Willis, who is a friend of the show, High Rocks was on Radio 4 this past Tuesday. Very, very briefly, it was part of the business section. They were talking about the gyms that High Rocks is in. I want to say, I'll just double check.
Cool.
It was Pure Gym interview, so they were talking about Pure Gym, and it got a soundbite. Further and in addition, Evening Standard. We may have talked about this on the show already, but Joanne Smith, she picked up a copy of the Evening Standard, which did have the print copy of the Harrods article. So it is like those early days of obstacle racing, isn't it? Where you just see it everywhere. It becomes part of a lexicon. Final thing, fitness racing news. I did 2 Decker events this past weekend, including one, as you know, with Will, Kieran, Jen, and Charlotte. Good friend Charles Malone, friend of the show. And Alan, I found something curious before the event.
Go on.
Will's personal best at Decker Mile, I want to say, was a 38-minute.
Okay.
Going into this Sunday, my previous personal best was 37.
Ooh.
So, for a short period of time, I held a better personal best at Decker Mile than Will did.
So Will smashed it this time, did he?
Oh God, yeah. He got I think it was 30, 32 or something, or 30, 36 at the end, and he absolutely smashed it. And I enjoyed it. The one we did with Will and Charlotte, Jen, and Kieran was at CW1. It was different to Clitheroe. Clitheroe is what I call a spit and sawdust gym, an old style gym, great gym, and fantastic facility. Go there if you haven't. But this one was like a modern CrossFit gym. It had a waiting room, Alan.
Oh, wow.
It was like going to a dentist.
I've never seen a waiting room in a gym before.
It had a waiting room which you could sit. They had a Nintendo 64 in there.
Oh, like the old style one.
Yeah, it had Mario Kart and everything.
Oh, loving it, loving it, loving it. No Sega though.
No Sega, just an old Nintendo 64. But yeah, it was 2 great events put on by 2 great gyms. If you haven't had a chance yet to go and do a Deca gym event, look up one that's local to you. I think both of them were about an hour from my house, and in ordinary circumstances, I'd say that's probably about right, because a Deca mile, if you're not me, it'll probably take you around about that half an hour mark. So think how long you travel for a 5K, and that probably is your barometer for a Deca.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So what we're saying is that Will can do 5K in 18 minutes.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Well, Will can do a Deca mile in 30 minutes, and it was interesting because of the way you're all set off. You get to watch everyone else taking part as well. So it was interesting watching Will and Kieran absolutely smash it. It was, I think, Kieran's first time doing a run burpee, and he just smashed through him. So well done, Kieran.
Cool. I've got a bit more news before we go. Give you an update on Jamie's son Lennon, 16-year-old, as he's been finishing third every part run for the last few months now. The 10's been running about an 18 minutes 7. No, 18 minute 8 was his fastest, up to 18 minutes 4. So he's been very, very consistent. With it being London Marathon this week, none of the big runners turned up. So he won his first ever part run. Part run's not a race, by the way, but he ran his first ever part run, but he ran it in a PB, 18:04. So 16-year-old, one to watch in the running scene.
Well done. And did he get a certificate? Did he get a medal?
No, didn't get nothing. No, it's not a race here. Not a race.
It's not a race. Yeah, neither's Tough Mudder Infinity either.
No, neither is Tough Mudder Infinity. I've got no more notes. Have you got anything?
I don't, other than to say, have a great holiday. Listener, we will have an episode up at some point next week for the Swift half. When it comes up, it might not be your usual Friday, so I really hope we don't lose you all. But please, make sure you subscribe, and as soon as it's up, it'll drop in your inbox. However, what we have done is we will be putting out an extra fitness racing podcast at some point next week, which will be the London preview episode. We've already got in the can the next couple of episodes, so you'll still get the same amount of content. In fact, you'll get one episode more, but it's just going to be in a slightly different order to what you used to.
Exactly. You're spot on there. Ian, thank you for coming early this week so I can go on my holly jollies and recording a little bit earlier than planned. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, I hope that we're making enough money from the affiliates that we can pay you bail and you come back. Otherwise, I'll need to find someone who can do editing. So fingers crossed we can find that. And on that, I will say it is a goodbye from me.
And listeners, thank you for listening. It's been great listening to you. If you're at Born Survivor this weekend, have a great race. Look forward to seeing something on socials and that out there, hopefully from UKOCR, if not from anyone who's filming. In the meantime, you take care, you stay safe, and you keep on running. And we'll speak to you soon. Bye.